Elkins presents the Elkins Accounting Hour with your host, Chad Elkins.
Gentlemen, how's everybody doing?
Outstanding.
Doing good. I like that background light you got going on there, Chad.
Oh, you shouldn't have said that, because guess who's going to explain the backstory behind it?
Uh-oh.
Well, Chad envied my light that I have the exact same thing that my girlfriend got me.
Oh, really?
And since Chad is a friendly guy, we got him one, and it's like his most favoritist thing ever. If you haven't noticed, ever since he got it, it has to be prominently displayed to his back right.
Yeah.
His face is not center of the screen. It's kind of hybrid between his face and that light. That's how important that light is to him.
Are you just like more or less fully set up in Texas now, Chad? Is that the deal?
Yeah, for the most part. I still have my place in Chicago, but it's basically my corporate office now that happens to have a bedroom. So, by the way, Clary, the candidate just despises this light. I don't really know why.
Really?
Yeah, she's like,
how does she not? Wait, what?
I don't know, man. She's like, why don't you take that up with you at, when I go to Chicago? She's like, why don't you take that up with you? I'm like, no, I want it in here.
Does she hate puppies too? What's wrong with her? What?
Well, real quick, this is not a frou-frou beer. This is from Community. It's a blonde. That's a real beer, right? And it's called Honey Citrus Blonde because it has honey and citrus flavors. I guess you can't really see it because of the light, but yeah, 6%. So no frou-frou. All right. Cheers.
All right.
There you go. Cheers.
You drinking anything, Red Hawk? Or
I do have some Land Shark in the fridge. You know what? Give me 10 seconds. I'm gonna go grab one. Be right back.
Yeah, go for it. Clary, while he's doing that, we were both gone last week, and we'll get to Red Hawk's big trip, but you had a trip of your own last week, and how was that?
It sucked. I've been sick for the past 2.5 weeks. I started feeling normal yesterday, still got a little cough today, and in between the 21 days I've been ill, I had to go to Minnesota and Wisconsin to deal with what all Gen X people get to do, and that is their parents, and not like the fun stuff. It's like more the finances and estate planning.
Really?
And well, yeah. Didn't I tell you that? Like I had to go drive in the middle of nowhere and meet my old man.
Yeah, you just mentioned some meetings. I didn't know it was about that stuff.
Yeah, and then I had dental work. So this was not a fun, happy, joy. I was sick. I got dental work, and I dealt with boomer finances. And I'm gonna write a book on how to train your boomer parents, because like you just got to start telling them, nope, this ain't happening. I'm not driving in the middle of Wisconsin to meet you. You're hopping on a fucking plane and we're going to do business in Vegas. They, not by any fault of their own, but they end up becoming the children. Like your roles switch. I'm not saying like they've lost their minds and they're childish, but they don't understand technology. They don't understand that you're not a little kid anymore and you got shit going on. Then you throw on being sick. Yeah, it wasn't a good time. It wasn't a good time at all.
Did you have that like throat cough that everyone's been getting, Cappy? Like
maybe that's what. Yeah, it's a throat cough. I felt pretty good otherwise. I even went for some hikes, but you burn out by about 5 or 6 p.m. And you just cough. That's it. So it's that if that's what's going around, yeah, I had it. But just now I'm starting to feel like I went to the gym for the first time in a long time yesterday. And I'm not tired by 5. So yeah.
I had that thing for like 2.5, 3 weeks, basically. Like as soon as I got off the plane, and it was just it wasn't like not really too much fatigue, not like not like green shit coming out like when you blow your nose or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it was just something in the back of the throat that just wouldn't go away for a while. It was really annoying.
Okay.
So I was away last week too, and people got sick, and I'll talk about that in a second. But Red Hawk, you were telling us you had an exciting trip, and it sounded really cool. Tell us about that. It was last month, I think.
Yeah. So I got back a couple of weeks ago now, but I was in Africa for 16 days. So I did some sightseeing, did some shark cage diving, and went to a couple national parks, and went hunting for 5 days, and that was great because it's one of my favorite things to do. So it'd been a while since I'd been on a hunting safari, and was very successful. Shot a bunch of big game over there. So it was a fantastic time all around, and I deserved it. It was my treat for myself. I mean, I remember I was talking about this since like, I've been talking about this trip since like January. It was like when I first like put the bookings in for it. So it was like the thing that was getting me through taxis. Like, okay, just one more boomer shitting on the floor, I could deal with this. Because I got this great big trip coming up pretty soon. So it was all worth it in the end.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I think I want to take the candidate out there because I spent high school in Africa. I don't know if I ever told you that. And I haven't been back there ever since graduation. So you've kind of inspired me to, I think, plan a trip for next summer, maybe. I want to do the same thing. Yeah,
you guys would have tons of fun there. There's a couple nice places you can go for sure. I mean, I don't have to tell you this. I mean, you spent your formative years in East Africa. So
yeah. Well, I'm glad you got to do all that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Clary, would you ever want to go to Africa or?
No, the only place in Africa I'd like to go would be more the Middle East. I'd like to check out Morocco, Egypt, obviously. I have no desire to go. I just don't. And it's
not like a nature buff. You don't want to go to like Kilimanjaro.
No, I don't. It's not even that. It's like, I don't know, the 40% HIV rate. That's one thing that I'm really concerned about.
What are you having unprotected sex with?
Right.
Over there?
And that's even like a tertiary or fourth reason. I mean, the main reason, I just don't have any interest.
Gotcha.
I'm not knowledgeable about African history enough to really, I mean, okay, honestly, I would go visit remnants of the Mali Empire because they were huge back in the day with their salt trade and the Egyptians. How much of that is remnant and left, I don't know. I'd like to go check out the Abyssinian and Nubian empires and kind of like Ethiopia, South Sudan, like the old, not ziggurats. They're more archaeology and ancient history stuff, but I don't need to see the Republic of Congo. I don't know anything about Botswana. I don't care about South Africa. I wish them all well. I just, I'd rather go to a bunch of other places. Most of them would be in North Africa, if at all.
Well, I actually climbed Mount Kilimanjaro in ninth grade. You were not allowed. Really? Yeah, they made us do it. It's like you can't progress from ninth grade to 10th grade unless you go, and you had to at least try to climb Kilimanjaro with your classmates. And not everybody made it, bad shape and altitude sickness, but I made it. So
it's a nightmare these days to hike all these giant mountains. It's kind of like the same thing if you go to Serengeti or something.
Safari. Yep.
There's just way too many vehicles around. So it's like you don't actually get the authentic wildlife experience anymore. And it's like the same thing with people literally dying, waiting in line to get the top of Everest and Kilimanjaro because there's just so many people that are doing it now. We just need less people in the world.
Chad, I'm reading the trails here to Mount Kilimanjaro. It doesn't sound like you drive up to it and you hike it. It's a 20-mile one-way trip.
Yeah.
You start at the bottom. Your elevation gain is 13,000 feet on some of these.
Yeah. So what you do is it took, I believe, 2.5 days to get to the top. So there was base camp. Then you hiked one day, get to one camp, hike another day, get to the last camp before you get to the top. And then it's that morning you get up and do it. And then you go back down and make it back to that other camp. And then it's a lot faster to hike down it, obviously. And then you make it out of there. You would be able to do it, Clary. Like, it's a lot of work, and if you don't have a porter, you're carrying like a heavy pack. But I think you could do it even as a half.
In my best shape, highest mountain in Africa, highest freestanding mountain above sea level in the world at 19,000. No, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's huge.
No, I couldn't do that. That's I get altitude sickness around 11,000, and then you throw another 8,000. I'd have to acclimate. There's no way I could do that now.
A lot of people got sick on that trip. Those of us who had recently moved into the country got sick or moved to Africa. So
at 19,000 feet, you have to have winter gear.
Yeah. That's why you're carrying these big packs. These are giant packs that, like, the tourists now, they say they climbed Kilimanjaro, but they hire porters to carry their bags.
Yeah.
Basically Sherpas. Yeah. We didn't do that. Now, there were people carrying the food, but we had to carry our own packs. So I feel like ours counted a little bit.
That's
more
pretty
than-
awesome. They make you do that. That is a sense
Yeah.
of like that'd be national pride, I think, if you did that, because that is a tremendous, that's a Herculean achievement right there. But no, you couldn't pay me enough. Once there's snow, no, or sleeping on the ground, I don't
Gets
wanna do that.
worse. We had to climb Mount Kenya the following year, which isn't as high, but it's a lot steeper. So anyway,
Dude, I was sweating my ass off just hiking up a couple of mountains for 3 days when I was trying to hunt my kudu. And my God, that was an absolute nightmare. I mean, you got the sweltering African sun just beating down on you, and you have to wear long pants and long clothes because all the shrubs there have spines that are 3 inches long. So you're going to get pricked all over the place unless you have long clothing on. So it was work. But
if it rained, did you see the termites that come out that are this big? You know, after it rained, maybe you didn't see that.
It didn't actually rain too much when I was there in the bush. I was actually really, really lucky with the weather. But I'm gonna get all the footage together and it's gonna get released on January 1st for next tax season. So it's gonna be like a whole season of hunting TV. I'm gonna sell behind the paywall, so be on the lookout for that when that comes out. But
I'm glad you're back, though. I'm glad that you took off from my company, H&R Block, which I own part of. So majority shareholder over here. I'm glad you got this out of your system, Red, because I expect the best from you in another 9 months. Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be my final season working for the man. So I'm sure they're gonna get peak performance out of me.
All right, guys, it's my stream, so I'm going to force this on you. So I was in Mexico last week. It was a family reunion, and it was 23 of us, 5 kids, 18 adults. Candidate went with me, and this is where we stayed. This was our villa. It was like our private pool, private beach. Like, this is where it was. It was really freaking cool. And there was, it was good stuff. And there was a chef, there were housekeepers, there was a concierge, there was a butler. They went to the grocery store every morning to stock up on liquor and food for us. Yeah. And it was just,
what's
awesome.
the exchange rate these days for?
It was about 18 and a half to 19 pesos is $1, which
that's about what it was in South Africa. It's 1 to 20. Yeah. So
they still have it's Kruger Rand. Is that what they?
Yeah. They just use the Rand, South African
the Rand.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but this was really cool. And I'll add, it was actually really, really expensive. And the reason we did this was kind of a morbid reason. My parents, including my cousin's parents, I mean, they're in their mid 70s to past 80. If it's my dad, this is clearly the last time we're all going to be able to do this with like everybody around and healthy enough to do it. So that's why we went all out and did that. So it wasn't as cool as South Africa, but it was way better than Minnesota. So I had to share.
I just couldn't believe how cheap it was living over there, man. I mean, aside from like the hunting over 16 days, I spent like $2.5 grand and that was it.
Oh yeah, man. Like it's,
I mean,
and if you go in Kenya, like it's full of like clubs and casinos as well. But I mean, that's probably
I just couldn't believe like going to a really, really nice restaurant, dinner for 2 with cocktails, with soup and salad breakfast, soup and salad appetizers. I had a steak. Other person I was with had like a shrimp pasta dinner, and then a dessert. It was $30 for 2 people.
It's crazy.
You get that in South Dakota.
I got to make my way over there. So the only downside I want to say about this trip to Puerto Vallarta is almost everybody got sick, stomach wise, including the candidate. So
planes are just virus factories, man. I fucking hate them.
Yeah. Well, no, this was actually, we think maybe it was the water, was it the food? Like, we don't know what it was, but out of the 18 adults, I would say about 13, all of the old people and most everybody else got sick. My sister and I and a couple lucky other ones didn't get sick, but everybody else did. Damn. So yeah. All right. Well, believe it or not, you guys, we do have a tax topic to discuss. I don't know. Is there anything been going on this week that either of you have been perhaps following in the government realm?
No, that's your guys' job.
I don't know. They gutted pretty much everything cool outside of the big beautiful bill, and it actually kind of sucks that it got passed. But it's just how it goes these days. Like the one thing that the bill was supposed to do is make it easier to deport people, and of course we have a bunch of backstabbing loser Republicans who take out the one provision in the bill because they're a bunch of losers. But so it passed. And it actually passed today. So this is
passed about 4 hours ago officially.
Yeah.
So it became law.
So this was not a purely financial bill. This was omnibus, had a bunch of things like finances and deportations and all that.
Yeah, originally the provision in the bill was going to allow the Trump team to overstep all these like 10th Circuit Court of Appeals judges that work on Tuesdays that are stopping deportations from occurring because apparently it's illegal for the president of the United States to be in control of the borders of the United States. So they got rid of that provision in there because Republicans are a bunch of cowards.
Yeah, I know.
They cut the remittance taxes. It was originally 3%. They brought it down to 1%. So that's annoying and gay. The only decent thing in the entire bill was Mike Lee was trying to pass this thing where they were going to sell something like 1 million acres of federal land to the private sector, and that got taken out of there due to public backlash. So at least that's nice. At least our public lands aren't going to be sold.
Okay, here's my only question: is the debt going up or down?
Probably
going up. Okay, that's all I
up.
need. Cool. All right, then I'm invested well. I'm glad to hear that. and all you Americans can suffer more inflation. Have fun.
Yeah. Well, it did pass. They met Trump's goal to get it. He wanted it done before the 4th of July, and I guess they were able to do that. The Democrats, what's his face, Hakeem something, stood up there and tried to filibuster for 8 hours, talking about how evil it was and everything.
That's the most work he's ever done in his life.
Exactly. Yeah. So be that as it may, there were a lot of non-tax related elements to this bill, which we're not really going to go over because it was 867 pages, apparently. But there were also some tax elements that were kind of beneficial for everybody on this panel right now, and probably some people in the audience. So I found a decent article. It actually came out a couple of days ago because that's when it passed in the Senate, but it didn't change. From what I understand, like my understanding is that when it got to Congress, they were worried that it wouldn't pass, but there were no changes from the Senate bill that passed into this. So I'm going to read this article from Accounting Today. It did come out.
Oh, that's my favorite. I read this and I get the girls. When I read Accounting Today, the girls just show up. Where'd Red Hawk go?
Yeah, where you at? Oh, well, we might have lost Red Hawk. We'll wait for him to get back. Yeah, man. You can just imagine how I have to ward off all the ladies wanting to get with me just because I pay attention to this stuff. Oh, he's back. Get him back here. Hey, dude.
That was weird.
Yeah. You were so disgusted by this bill. You couldn't take it.
Out of here. Yeah.
So this is called What's in the Trump Tax Bill that just passed the Senate. Alicia Diaz, I looked her up. She doesn't have a following. And this came out a couple days ago, but it's still applicable. Now, President Donald Trump's multi-trillion-dollar tax and spending package moved closer to reality after it passed in the Senate on Tuesday. And of course, it passed Congress today. Blah, blah, blah. Here is the key portion I want to start with here. The president's signature economic legislation would extend expiring tax cuts for businesses and individuals initially passed in 2017 and add temporary new breaks for tipped and overtime workers, the elderly, and car buyers who take out loans. It provides hundreds of billions of dollars in new funding for defense, and it mentions Trump's immigration crackdown here. And then it just talks about what they were going to do. I'm going to get to the breakdown of all of this in a second with the article, but I did want to do some visuals. Now, Red Hawk, you're going to like this, I think. And you were just homesick.
Is this Atham Clary?
This is Atham Clary.
123 Main Street.
He's back.
It gets even better. It's Atham Clary, who's married to Aaron Clary.
Wow.
So you guys are joint
You're pretty clever there. Wow, look, Chad made it funny, everyone. We got
how come Atham's first on there, but he took Clary's last name?
Well, I just feel that Atham's the more masculine amongst,
I'm glad you said it. How many hours did it take to figure this one out?
It's no criticism. Atham's a pretty manly dude. So
pretty manly.
Yeah. So So I wanted to, at least for the first 2 points, I think this would provide a very good illustration of why it's good that this went through, at least the first two tax elements, okay? Now, before I do this, Clary, you may not know this, but do you happen to remember back in 2017 what the big changes were with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act? Does anything come to mind?
They simplified the number of tranches of tax brackets. Was that one?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that was super beneficial, but in
Okay,
terms
then
of
they doubled the standard tax
yes,
deduction. Okay.
yes,
All right.
and do you remember this whole qualified business income deduction? Did I ever explain to you what that was?
No.
It's on your
It's-
Schedule
You
C.
probably did, but I don't remember it.
Yeah, Red Hawk. Do you want to talk about what it is, if you know?
Yeah, it's just if you're a specified business, you get to deduct a certain amount on your taxes when you file a Schedule C.
Not just a Schedule C, but also S corp returns like Clary
right.
and I file, and some
Mhm.
partnership stuff. But essentially, to simplify it, you get a 20% deduction in addition to all of your regular business expense deductions. And I want to illustrate that here first. The reason I'm doing this is because this was set to expire after 2025, and Trump basically renewed it, and you're going to see why. So let's say that Aaron Clary has his own business on Schedule C. As you can see, it's selling dildos, right? So
Remember this now. It's all coming back to me.
it's
Yes.
all coming back to you. So he has his business name, buymydildos.com. And let's say that Aaron, he grossed $200,000, and we're not
Lot
going to
of
do
dildos.
expenses.
Lot
A
of
lot of
dildos.
dildos.
Yeah.
A lot of lonely cat
Vince and
ladies.
TJ are very happy right now. Yes.
A lot of Kamala voters that purchase his products.
Yes. Lots of Democrat men happy.
Mhm. So the reason the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was so great was because, like I said, it gave you that extra 20% deduction. So that's line 13. It says qualified business income deduction. You got an extra 40,000 in taxable income gone down because of that. Now, on this sample return, you and Atham owe 6,339 to the government, just in this example. Watch what happens if you take away this qualified business income deduction. I'm just going to get rid of it.
15,000, isn't it?
You are absolutely correct. It's going to go up to 15,800.
Who knows his math? Who knows
Look
his
at-
math?
look at
This
you.
guy. This guy. I don't know.
Look at you.
I read accounting today, Chad.
You read
I'm
accounting
like,
today.
I passed my EA, and like when you just sprung it on me with no studying.
I think you've been I've taught you well with my streams. But so you see, you got basically an extra 9,000 in, I want to say refund, but your taxes went down by 9,000 because of this, and because of what passed today, it did get renewed. So that's why I'm saying it's good for you, it's good for me, and it's going to be good for Red Hawk when he starts his practice next year. So that's the first point I wanted to illustrate here. I'm going to get the form 8995 back so we can.
Chad, I got to go deal with that pork shoulder. I'll
Sure.
be back in a second.
Sure. I'm actually going to pause this because I want Clary to see this next point.
We'll hold down the fort.
Yeah. So, dude,
How about at the Illinois state level too?
I was just going to talk about
So there we go.
Yeah, specifically the SALT deductions. Do you know about those, dude?
No, not really.
I'll show you. Yeah, it's not something you would have seen. I won't say where you live, but it wasn't a major component where you live because of a lack of income tax, we'll say. So
Florida's got none. It's nice.
Exactly. Yeah. So what I'm about to show you has major implications for states that have a state income tax. So we can wait for Clary to get back. But well, yeah, man. What else are you going to do this summer now that you're back?
Not much, man. I'm just getting back into it. I got to get some certifications for bookkeeping through QuickBooks, and that's basically what I'll be working on over the summer because I talked to you about this offline, but also I think we mentioned this a little bit at the April 15th stream, but I'm not going to be back on for H&R in the fall season because, seniority, so even though you could basically get a job by, literally calling these guys up and you'll get a job that day, it still does have some degree of corporate politics bullshit in it. So
I believe it.
Yeah. You can't avoid it everywhere. It's just how it goes. So I got to go find some other employment to tide me over until tax season strikes up once again. and work my last season for the man, and that'll be that.
So on that note, I haven't actually done my H&R Block roundtable where I get people together that worked for them this past tax season just to kind of talk about what their experiences were like. And so if you're still up for doing that either this month or next month, I'd love to have you on.
Yeah, we could totally do that. Just shoot me a text and we'll get everything all scheduled up. And then I also might be driving by your neck of the woods in like August, September if you're down in Texas. So I'll shoot you a text.
You got a place to crash, and Clary can vouch for how great this place is to crash.
The famous Matt Forney crashed there one time. These are great times.
Well, he's thinking of coming down here for that.
Oh, he's coming down to Dallas?
Fort Worth, possibly.
Wait. Only you people care.
You people.
The rest of the world don't. Dallas? No, Fort Worth. Fuck you. That's it. It's just fine. That area.
Hey,
man.
Chad is a good sport, man. I mean, I texted him once and he wasn't even in Chicago. He's like, yeah, man, you can crash at my place.
I'm coming out to Naperville. It's Hoffman Estates. No one cares.
It's funny that you and Clary have crashed on the same couch in my apartment. So anyway.
It's a nice couch.
So that was the first thing. I wanted to point out that QBI that got renewed. Clary, this next thing is major. Do you know did you ever actually, Claire, you wouldn't know this because you probably don't follow it. Have you heard them talking about the state and local tax deduction, the SALT cap limit? Have you ever heard anything about that?
I've heard about that. Didn't the the leftist states kind of want to limit that? Like if after you pay your federal tax, then you don't get to deduct, you get to deduct your federal tax first from your taxable state income. And so they're thinking about limiting that deduction, correct?
Well, it's actually a bit the reverse. What happens is when you itemize Schedule A, you get to deduct things like your property tax and any income taxes you paid to the state that you live in. So Trump actually, it used to be unlimited, and Trump in his original bill from 2017, he capped this at 10% or at $10,000. And he did that to screw with people in blue states that have
that's right, like in Cape Cod and shit like that. Yeah.
Massachusetts, New York, California, and especially Chicago. So he was doing that specifically to troll blue states. Well, guess what is in this bill? So that cap, which was screwing them at 10,000, has now quadrupled, and it's now a $40,000 SALT cap. And this is why I really wanted to illustrate this on a tax return. So let's say you and Atham, in this return, we're going to pretend you live in Illinois. So you're in an income tax state. Mm-hmm. You and Atham have a more, by the way, the standard deduction is around 30,000, as you can see. It is 30,000 for a joint filer. So you and Atham have a mortgage, and your mortgage interest is $20,000 that year. Let's say that you have a mansion. Let's say that your property taxes are $25,000 and your state income taxes are $11,000. So you see how that adds up to $36,000. But if you look at the column here, that was capped at $10,000. She got absolutely screwed under the old system. But as of today, watch what happens when I change this to 40,000. So right now, you and Atham owe the same, $6,339.
Is this refundable or non-refundable?
I believe this is non-refundable because it's on Schedule A. So it's like whether you're going to itemize or take the standard deduction.
Well, if you boost that up to 40, I'm going to get a refund here.
That is very possible. So right now you owe $6,339. Right. But as of today, watch what would happen. Now you're getting a refund of $861. Yeah. Dude, that's a $7,000 difference under this example. So this bill benefited people in high property tax states, income tax states, and also rich people. This was very good for rich people. So Trump is no longer trolling. Now,
does that mean, according to leftists and Democrats, that mean it must be, if it's good for rich people, it has to be bad for poor people or middle income people, right?
Well, I'm glad you asked because
Chad, if you win $1 million, that hurts me, right?
Well, yeah, because why should I get it? But yeah, I'll get back to the article. So essentially, those are the two biggest ones, in my opinion. But we'll go through the rest of the article because there were other tax elements to this. So, like I just showed you, the Senate legislation incorporates a deal to raise the limit on the state and local tax deduction to $40,000 annually for a 5-year period. It would phase out for more than 500,000, so the rich don't get off like totally scot-free. But it's going to really help people on the upper middle class. A lot of property owners in the Chicago suburbs are very happy today, even if they hate, Republicans and Trump. So, in any case, so that's that. The next thing is no tax on tips.
Oh, wow. So that was actually in there.
That actually went through. I actually did a stream on this last summer, August, if you guys want to check that out. But
this one was always confusing to me because how the hell do they actually go through and, determine what actually is and isn't a tip on a lot of these businesses? This one always seemed a little like red meaty to me as opposed to like actually having an effect on anything. But fair enough. All right. I guess you won't get taxed on it.
Does that say 25,000, Chad?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and read this, then I'll talk to you about what I think will happen with this. Workers would be exempt from taxes on tip income up to $25,000 per individual, as well as overtime, so tips and overtime, up to $12,500 per individual and $25,000 per couple. And the tax breaks run through 2028, and they phase out going at $150,000 in income and above. Clary, obviously, I cannot send you a bill and be like, well, you only the actual fee is $100, but you're welcome to leave me a tip of $500.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah, they're going to have to take steps to prevent things like that happening in other industries. I think they're going to say that you have to be in the service industry or something to do it.
Or they're going to have to, because guess what? I'm going to start charging for tips. Wouldn't super chats be considered tips?
That is a great question.
They're not paying for anything. There's no transaction, right? So I don't know. I mean, it is a tip, isn't it? Like the economic nature of a super chat is a tip, right?
You're asking a very intelligent question because they're going to have to define exactly what a tip is. And my understanding is that they were I tried to read this part of the bill a little bit today, including the overtime portion. They're going to have to clarify exactly how to sort all this out because a lot of people are going to be playing games now with what's tips.
I think the easiest way for you to do this is send it to the employers, like in the industry when they actually give you your W-2, have a breakdown on there and actually say this amount of your income was delegated through tips. Like if you're like a bartender or something, when they give you a W-2, that's probably going to be like the only way that this is going to like remotely work.
I kind of hope you're right about that. Go ahead.
Serious question until they provide further guidance and clarification. I'm not joking. If that's the case, I'm not claiming the first 25 grand of my super chats because those are tips by the literal definition of the word.
I think the only problem you'd have with that is like YouTube doesn't actually just pay you the super chats. They also pay you like for the ads. It's like a combination of the two. I know. So how you going to separate them?
I could separate it on they give you those analytics. I know to the penny what super chats and what I could absolutely say, whatever. Let's say I get 30,000 in super chats. All right. So really, according to this and the definition of a tip, I only pay taxes on that 3,000 remnant. I'm sorry, 5,000 remaining that after the 25,000 deduction.
Until they clarify this a little bit more, and believe me, they're going to have to. There's going to be these types of games being played. If you want to call it that. How dare
you call this a game, sir? I'm being serious. These are tips. We'll make a lot of money this year.
You guys check out my stream from last August where I talk about this and how I'm like, if this thing passes, this is going to open a can of worms that I'm not sure both the IRS and the government were prepared to deal with.
I could see this too, is that they only grant this to you if you're W-2 instead of 1099 or something.
Yeah.
I could easily see them doing that too.
And it should be clarified. It's for people in the service industry. If there's any intelligence among them, they'd say, because that's typically younger, poorer people, which is what it's intended to help. But if they don't clarify 2025 taxes, Chad, I'm only reporting $5,000 of it.
Right. And I'm so glad, Smokey of Stormwind, YouTube already takes 30%, right? Like so if I leave you $10, you only get 7, right? Because YouTube takes it.
It's not a tax, but they got to make money to cover their operating systems and their machines and servers.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting, but I do think you're right. They're going to sort it out. They'll talk about service workers and things like that. So,
what about us poor YouTubers, huh? What about us?
There's a lot of people that don't make any money on YouTube.
We all can't be like you, Cappy.
Can't be like you. Must be nice.
Okay, so that's the tips and overtime. Moving on. Medicaid. Did you guys hear what they're doing with Medicaid with this?
Oh my God, the illegal immigrants can't get access to Medicaid anymore. Poor
Did that
babies.
pass? Did that pass?
It did. Yeah.
Spending on Medicaid health insurance would be cut by nearly $1 trillion over 10 years. This is what the Democrats were all upset about. And 11.8 million Americans would lose health insurance, according to an analysis by the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office that doesn't include these last-minute adjustments. So, yes, a lot of people are going to get hit with this.
Oh, maybe you have to pay for your own health insurance and maybe not have as many kids. That's just too bad.
Well,
I'm all choked up about it.
The other thing too is like there was some new data that came out about how much like the boomer generation spends in medical care in the last year of their lives. It's like the average boomer spends around $175,000 for the last year of their life. And of course, a majority of that is on the government dime. And it's just, how about you guys just not be the most materialistic and horrible generation in the history of anything and just like take your death with grace and not inject yourself with a bunch of ridiculous medical practices to prolong your life for 9 more months. It's fucking disgraceful.
I have this. I'm no economist, but in my book, Bachelor Pad Economics, I call this thing called the Smith & Wesson Retirement Plan. If you're terminally ill and you're, maybe you don't need to bankrupt your entire family and you could leave something to your children. It's a foreign concept to boomers, but if it's painful and you're terminally ill, maybe there's an easier way out of this that benefits everyone.
Oh man, Cappy, those 9 months of watching CNN in the nursing home are really, really important. All right, they gotta make sure they stick around for that.
Stroking out on my yacht.
So the Cubs are gonna win this year. I gotta watch it.
That'll be another 109 years. I was sitting on the beach just talking with my boomer uncle about this just last week, and he's super lefty. And I said something like, "You guys just, you're going to bankrupt the system before just."
Oh, that went over well, I'm sure. Yeah, you. What made you think you were going to convince a boomer?
Oh no! We were having a beer lauing about it. And then you know what he said to me, and I'm like, this sums up boomers perfectly. He's like,
"Did he say I'm going to be dead? It's not on me."
He basically said, "I'm going to be exiting this world." Kicking and streaming, and when I'm dead, it ain't going to be my problem anymore. I was like, that just sums up your entire selfish generation.
We should just fire all boomers into the sun, preferably via catapult.
No.
Minecraft.
In Minecraft, maybe, but don't worry, there's a fate worse, like them never being visited in the nursing home.
Yeah, getting beaten to death by the Somali guy who's running the shop.
Minecraft.
In Minecraft. I do want it on record that both of my parents are technically part of the silent generation. So, yeah.
Oh, they also live in Fort Worth and not Dallas. Okay.
All right. So that was Medicaid. I think that's a positive, despite what you may think, or I mean, not you guys, but the other side, despite what they think, I think that's a positive, cutting that. Here's something non-tax related. The Rural Hospital Fund, the Senate added $50 billion Rural Hospital Fund, an effort to mitigate the impact of Medicaid cuts on those institutions. Rural lawmakers raised concerns that Medicaid cuts would force local hospitals to close. So, yeah, the Republicans kind of gave in on that one.
That's just to grease the wheels for some people in the hinterlands. It's just how it goes.
Basically. Another one is clean energy. The GOP senators fast-tracked a phase-out of green energy tax credits, including wind and solar power. I want to stress about this. So, Clary, this is not talking about individual taxpayers. This is all corporate people,
okay,
or nonprofit organizations that claim they were green. There were some people that were upset about this because remember how you had those solar panels and all that stuff.
And you guys pay a full third of it for me. I thank the taxpayer very much for that. Thank you.
Yeah, and they just changed it recently where the solar credit you could only take it once, but then they changed it you could take it year over year.
Right. But you're done with that, Clary. But others are not. Like others are going to get these panels, and then they can keep getting it. You know, they'll get other panels and things like that.
Right. All right.
So, by the way, did you say you paid your estimated taxes today?
Today, I'm 2 days late. Terribly sorry, sir.
That's just
Third quarter.
Awful, man. September 15th is when it's due, and Clary did it.
Yeah,
today.
well, why wait till then? Now I don't have to worry about it. Now it's going to hover over you guys like this massive weight of a neutron star. Oh, I got to pay my third quarter.
Well, all these laws are active immediately, so I don't know if anything got changed with you. But
as of today,
yeah. Well, you could just adjust it in the next quarter. It's not that big of a deal for you.
So, Clary, so the next one here is kind of fun. Electric vehicles. Before I talk about this one, what do you guys think of like all these people that bought electric vehicles and got like a $7,500 credit for doing so?
I actually saw quite a few of those last year.
A lot.
Way more than the year before.
You shouldn't get a tax deduction. I shouldn't have gotten a tax rebate or whatever on my solar panels. You should not be paid to do something. You just make it the price of what it is. That's it. So, I mean, I understand why people take it. Obviously, there's a financial incentive, but the taxpayer should not be subsidizing people's purchasing habits.
You know what? If you guys get me up to, let's just say $50 of super chats, I'll tell you about a horrible scam that has been going on with these electric vehicle credits that I've noticed in the past couple of years that has affected my clients. But for now, I'm just going to read this little snippet here. A popular $7,500 tax credit for consumer purchases of new and used electric vehicles would end on September 30th, 2025, earlier than the previous versions of the bill that would have eliminated the credit at the end of the year. So, Clary, you have about, July, August, September. You have about 3 months if you want to run out and get that Tesla or whatever electric vehicle you want to get. Yeah.
Well, want a used truck. And I'm in the market for a used truck.
I do kind of have to laugh how this was just like an absolute stick right in Elon's craw after he had to cheap out on Twitter. So,
right. You think this is why they had that fallout?
I mean, maybe. I mean, like, listen, man, it's great that you're a big part of funding Doge and stuff, but the guy's got like as much political acumen. It's like a 3-year-old. It's kind of gross to watch. Actually,
let me say this though, in defense of solar power and electric vehicles, I have found that if your house, like if you were to have most everything electric, like not solar panels, water heater, my hot tub is electric. I do not have baseboard heat, but you could have electric heat. And then you had an electric car. You're starting to really approach it being economically feasible to have yourself an electric vehicle and solar panels. You just have to make sure you don't have like a gas heater or gas this or anything like that. So I'm not, and I like solar. I like the fact, quote unquote, it's free. I'm getting it from the sun. I'm not a big environmentalist, but I like the fact that there's no pollution.
Mm-hmm.
So but you should be subsidizing it. But yeah, I mean, I have nothing to get. If you got an electric vehicle, kind of like, it's kind of cool and neat. Yeah, I would absolutely do it.
It's nice for the individual, but this like talk that they're going to do it at scale is just literally impossible.
Oh yeah, 2035, we're not going to have it. Yeah,
no. Literally impossible. Yeah, it would be more environmentally costly to actually make electric the standard for everything than if we just kept doing what we were doing.
Neither of you probably watched the show Landman. Did either of you watch that? It was out like
no.
Does it take place in Fort Worth or Dallas?
Actually, it took place parts of it in Fort Worth. However,
okay, all right.
No, there's a part where, like in that show, where Billy Bob Thornton is just like, "Let me tell you what it costs to actually allow these electric vehicles to run," and he talks about like all the energy that goes into it just to save energy and how the world's always going to run on oil. So I thought that was interesting. And yes, the other Marcus Brown, I think the Tesla stock has already kind of crashed. I've seen this with some of my clients because they knew this was going to happen. So, by the way, go to the other Marcus Brown's channel. He's got a growing channel and he's got some good stuff.
It's a cool little Buster sword he's holding up there. It's pretty neat. While we're studying taxes, he's studying the blade. All right.
Yeah. He doesn't live too far from here. Fort Worth, Clary. Fort Worth. This next one is one that we're going to have some fun with. Auto loan tax deduction. Okay. A deduction of up to $10,000 would be established for interest payments on auto loans from 2025 to 2028.
So this would just go on Schedule A?
Yes, and the tax break is only eligible for new vehicles whose final assembly is in the United States.
Huh. Well, I mean, people shouldn't be buying new cars because they're pieces of shit, but at least they're making it assembled in the U.S. only. So, I mean,
why do I have to? Why do I? Okay, it's like the mortgage interest deduction. Why do we have to subsidize the purchase of a vehicle? I just.
I don't know. It's not going to be applicable for me or anybody else here, but you know what? If it saves the taxpayer money, why not? I mean, none of us should be paying taxes to the government as it is because they're just going to go send it on USA butt plug studies in Rwanda. So
I like
the less money we give them, the better.
I like how, it's got to be it's got to provide support. It's got to come from U.S. jobs. So I mean, yeah, it's not the worst thing ever, but they didn't simplify things. They just added more shit. And Chad, let me ask you something. Chad, are you worried about AI taking over tax accountants' jobs? Like, are you? They just keep making it more and more complicated. You're never going to lose your job, Chad.
You know what's so irritating? Like, you correctly tell me not to read comments because it's a waste of time. I swear to God, man, you and I did that video yesterday on your channel where I was talking about the first comment on there was like, well, AI is just going to take all the jobs and taxes.
Give me UBI.
Yeah. And I'm getting so tired of seeing that.
It's not even impressive, dude. Like, did you guys see the big scandal with Grok now? The AI on Twitter is that so because they keep on putting artificial like roadblocks on a bunch of this AI to make it politically correct. It's basically just feeding itself like CNN stuff now. So they just keep recycling mainstream news. And it's just become completely useless at this point. So it's a huge problem with all these things. They're not these great, God, what's the Skynet? It's blinking on the Terminator thing. Yeah, it's not this great end all be all thing that's going to destroy everything. It's basically a glorified search engine. That's
so
all
it's going to be like a Greta Thunberg Skynet, like a special needs Skynet that really isn't all that great.
No.
Yeah, I've read some articles like that. Yeah, I'll say it one more time for probably about the 10,000th time. No, I am not worried about AI taking my job, okay? And Red Hawk, you shouldn't either be worried about that.
No, not concerned at all.
Now, Clary, we do have a question. I was talking with our buddy Raymond a couple hours ago before his stream went on, and he can't join us because he's actually streaming right now too. Raymond, thoughts and mine. He wanted me to ask you specifically. He's like, Chad, please ask Clary this question. He wants to know what you think. What vehicle do you think he should buy in order to take advantage of this? He's like, he wanted your opinion on that. It's a new vehicle.
I can't answer because I don't look at new vehicles.
Yeah.
I've never looked at new vehicles.
I think he would lose more money buying the new vehicle, even with the tax.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
No.
I mean, honestly, I would go with a truck that was made in 2016 or earlier. Just because they don't have the nagging ding 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 ding. They didn't put a Karen in the car.
Dude, that's what I love. Yeah. Chad's been in my truck. I fucking
He's got a great truck. Yeah.
Truck is my baby, man. Yeah.
My truck's a 2003. I'm not rich like Raymond Thoughts and Minds. I can't buy myself a brand new double dually diesel wide, whatever he's got. But there's no way, having driven a friend's new car, I'm getting a new vehicle. I'm getting something with no dinging. And that you're looking at the latest 2018 or before.
Yeah, these smart cars are now like reporting your driving habits to insurance companies. So I wouldn't want that either.
One of my really good friends did actually get a Tesla. He's a lawyer and went and got it partially for the electric vehicle credit last year. But he was driving me around in that thing. I mean, I got to give it to him. I mean, they're cool. I'll give him that much, but it's not my thing. No.
Well, we did meet my little super chat threshold there, so I'll just tell a very quick story about the electric vehicle scams I've been seeing.
Oh, here's a question though, real quick, Chad, not to block you off.
Yeah,
could you capitalize on both of these? because Teslas are built in the United States. So could you take
Sure.
the auto loan one and the electric vehicle one?
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's nothing in this bill that says you can't. So absolutely.
Oh, there you go.
But I mean, you better get that credit before you better buy that vehicle before September 30th if you're going to do this. So here's the thing. For at least the last couple of tax seasons, I've been encountering people that have been getting scammed with these electric vehicles because the people in Chicago, a few of my clients, they would go to a dealership and the big sell that the salesperson or whatever would do would be like, hey, you can get a $7,500 credit if you buy this electric vehicle. So the person would be like, okay, I'll get it. I mean, that's a pretty good credit. But here's the deal. It would be a used electric vehicle that would have something like 50 miles on it. And then I'd do their return. I'd put the credit on there. And then the IRS would send a notice back and say, you can't do this. The credit has already been claimed on somebody else's tax return. And the reason they know this because you have to put your vehicle identification number on the form when you try to get this credit. And I've seen it. This just keeps happening. There are some very shady dealerships, at least in Chicago, that are absolutely like just scamming people with these.
I really just can't trust anyone these days, can you?
This is why I'm happy that this credit is ending. I thought it was kind of, to your point, Clary, I thought it was kind of a bullshit credit to begin with. And I'm glad it's ending.
Well, the great thing about you don't even have your driver's license, so none of this applies to you whatsoever.
So I do have my driver's license.
I know.
Going back to Kenya, you were talking about, Red Hawk, you were talking about being in the bush. I actually learned how to drive a car on the left-hand side of the road in the bush, like going to these game parks. Yeah.
Man, it took a couple days for me adjusting when I got over there, and I actually almost got in an accident when I came back to the States. I was driving through a parking lot and I found myself on the opposite side of the road, and I almost hit somebody going that way. So it took like a couple days adjusting back and forth. But I mean, it was an interesting enough experience to learn how everybody else does it wrong, except for us. But
you ever driven on the left side of the road, Clary?
Yes, I have in the Bahamas.
Oh,
it threw me off. Yep.
Really? They do that over there? I didn't know that.
Exuma, the island of Exuma.
British
British protectorate. Yep.
Interesting.
Gentlemen, we will continue, but I'm having a problem. So if you wouldn't mind entertaining everybody as much as you can, and the minute I'll be gone, I will be right back.
Sure. So when you back to the Southern Command, Cappy? A couple months?
Not until November. I mean,
okay. Cool.
I got here. I think we spent. It sucks. Me and the GF. She has to go, then I have to go, then she has to go. So we haven't really had a lot of time to spend and enjoy the Northern Command. So she's got one more trip for family stuff, and then in theory we should have the rest of summer. And I don't know. I'm kind of getting tired of the traveling and we got to do this and we all got to do that. I think I'm going to have a policy of fuck you. Everyone comes here. And you get a hotel. You're not in my house. You're over there or you're here for no more than 3 days, but I'm not doing this. I'm traveling to visit people anymore.
It is
old
nice.
Man.
It is nice because I was just, traveling for 6 weeks basically away from my place down here in Florida. But I'm not really doing anything until I got a long road trip planned. I don't know. I might stop by and see Chad in Texas in a couple months here. But I'm checking off a couple more places off my list I've never been to. I'm going to White Sands National Park in New Mexico. Never been there. I'm going to go see the Grand Canyon. Never seen the Grand Canyon before. And then got to hike Zion again with 3 friends. So I'm excited to do that. We are going to go to Alvaro's. I'm going to make sure we.
There you go.
I'll give you my review. And I also want to check out the Dinosaur Footprint Museum that's there in St. George, Utah. So I know it's kind of small, but
how much time you got in Utah?
About 4 days.
You know what? Are you ever going to make it into northern Utah? Or are you going to be south?
No, because I'm the only one who's going to have a vehicle, and we're just going to be sticking around the Zion area. We might go to God, what the hell's that? The thing that was in Forrest Gump.
Monument Valley.
Yes.
That's the other side of the state, and there's no straight roads that go there. You're gonna have to
but
go through
it's easier.
Kanab into Arizona, back into Utah to
You're
get
right.
there.
You're
Yeah.
right, but it's still quicker, like driving 3 hours and 3 hours back than driving 3 hours, hiking like another 3 hours, and then driving another 3 hours back. You know, it's just it's a little inconvenient, but it's not as inconvenient as it could be.
Yep.
But, mhm.
So Clary, the candidate's in there listening to us, and I walk out there, and the first thing she says is, "I didn't say I hated the light that Clary got us. I just said it would look better in your apartment."
That's it, because I got a text from her. It says, "For the record, I absolutely despise the light. When Chad walks out, I'm going to tell him I don't despise the light, but please don't tell him that I absolutely hate the light. By the way, I'm kicking him out because of the light." That's what she says. That's her text that she said right there.
Well, I just noticed the light has not been in the frame well enough, so we're going to put it back in there. And you know what? I'm going to allow the two of you and everybody in the chat to laugh at me. I'm totally cool with this. I'm comfortable. This is from 903, and it is a churro and caramel ice cream beer. It actually tastes really good. It's very cinnamony.
Look, Red Hawk, let me tell you something. All right. I know you're a young man and you're still excited about traveling, and I want you to live. Just so you know, you don't have to drink these
frou beers.
You become a professional self-employed accountant. All right.
I've drank with Red Hawk a couple times. Look who's it. Nuke. What do you?
Hey, Nuke's in
Boys
the
in the
house.
chat. There he
Nuke
is.
lives in Dallas, not Fort Worth.
Nuke is in Dallas, not Fort Worth. Yes. Cheers.
You know what? I bet you wouldn't correct me if I said, "Hey, ain't you from Fort Worth?" He's like, "Yeah."
But Nuke did. Nuke came all the way to Fort Worth to see you, Clary. So
He did. No, I remember. That's why I bought him a drink. I'm glad. I'm always happy to see Nuke.
Yeah. So getting back on topic here. Is this an accounting podcast? Oh, yeah, it is. Okay. Permanent business tax break. We already talked about those. Now, in this paragraph, they're talking about the ability to use depreciation and amortization as the basis for interest expensing, research and development, including machinery, and then various factories. Now, I want you to pay attention to this sentence right here. It's a win for banks, okay? Would that surprise you, Clary? It's a win for banks who could see a surge in lending as companies have more cash freed up to invest in projects.
I lost it. Permanent business tax rate. 3 business tax deductions would be made permanent. This includes the ability to use depreciation and amortization as the basis for interest expensing.
Yes.
I don't understand that. What is the basis for interest expensing? What does amortization depreciation have?
It's like double dipping. I think what they're saying is it's kind of like double dipping. Like you get to amortize everything and you get to capitalize on the interest for it. Because a lot of times it's one or the other with these corporations. So Trump is basically, or the bill is basically saying, you know, we're going to make things very friendly for people to take loans from the government because now all of that interest can be deductible, even if you're fully depreciating the asset that you're financing. You can't always do that.
You just...
Did I say too much?
Includes the ability to use depreciation and amortization as the basis for interest expensing. So you have paid some interest expense, but you can't deduct it fully?
You can.
Because it's tied to an asset that hasn't fully depreciated?
No, you can. That's what this is saying. Like you couldn't always do that, but now.
Really? Wait. So I pay an interest expense to fund a machine, right? The machine is a $1 billion facility, right? And I pay an annual expense of interest of, let's say, $10 million. I can't deduct the full $10 million every year because it's tied to an asset that has yet to depreciate?
You get, so here's the key part I think you're missing. You see where this says 100% bonus depreciation? You can't always, if you're a factory, right?
Yeah.
Or a major corporation or whatever, you can't always take 100% depreciation. There are times you have to do it based on the life of the
makers, declining double balance. Right. Okay.
Right.
Straight line.
This is saying you can take the whole asset off, even if you haven't fully paid for it and it's being financed. And you can write off the interest. So it's a bit like double dipping.
I get to write off full Section 179, the asset I financed.
So you get to, but
I get to.
But these businesses, these big corporations, weren't always allowed to do that with machinery and equipment, you see?
Okay.
But this is saying now they can't. I mean, they've been able to, but now they can't.
They get to expense a fixed asset in 1 year.
Yes.
Okay.
essentially.
That
And
makes it. What's throwing me off is the interest expense. I don't know what the financing side of an asset has to do with this.
well, that's what basically this is saying, is that you couldn't always. We're talking in the tens of millions of dollars here.
Right.
Claire.
Yeah.
Yeah, because individuals are limited to up to a certain amount. But we're talking major factories that are buying like
Sure,
very expensive-
semiconductor plants. Yeah.
yeah, things like that. So that's why it doesn't apply to us as individuals, but it does really help businesses out, and it helps banks out, because now they're going to finance equipment, get loans from banks, and be able to write the whole thing off plus interest. So I thought that was interesting. And then moving on, semiconductors, in addition to everything I just said, an investment credit for semiconductor manufacturers will be increased to 35% from 25%, giving chip makers more incentive to break ground on new facilities by an existing 2026 deadlines. So better deductions for those who are making.
Did they get rid of all the DEI affirmative action requirements previous to the Biden administration for those semiconductor plants? Because that was what was holding them up.
I got to say, a little spoiler, I don't think they mentioned DEI in this at all.
Okay, well that's specific to semiconductors. All right, continue on.
Yeah, so that is that. Those last two go hand in hand. But we also have the child tax credit.
Oh my God, I didn't hear the end of this throughout the entire tax season. No matter how many people came in who were trying to get some funding for, the 10 kids that they have from the 7 different baby daddies, they're like, should I file already? Because I hear the child tax credit's coming through. A fucking $200 increase. Unbelievable.
This is what I hate the most about people who were, coming to me during tax season, and all this chatter was going on about this bill. It's like, whatever happens is going to apply to 2025. So it makes absolutely no difference for the year we're actually filing for, 2024. I can't tell you how many times I had to explain that to people, supposedly smart people.
Sounds like some lems.
I was having some problems handling them. And so the maximum child credit would go up $200 per kid. So that one's pretty straightforward.
So, I'm assuming there's still a cap on it on how
Yes.
many kids. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, this is an interesting one. Not so much tax related, but there's the Trump child accounts in this bill. This means that parents, relatives, and others would be able to contribute up to $5,000 in total annually to tax-deferred Trump investment accounts for children until they turn 18. Red Hawk, did you deal with any kiddie taxes, where you have to put what the kids made in investments on their parents' returns?
I had like 1, maybe 2 of those that I had. It was very, very rare that you'd run into it. But to be honest, like, it always happened with people who were really on top of it. It was always like mom and dads who were really, really smart and just knew what they were doing. So they had you ask them a question, they just knew instantly. So
Clary.
I have a question for Red Hawk.
Yes.
Red Hawk, did you have any parents who worked, or were they all welfare bums?
Oh no, I had a couple.
Oh, you did have a couple of people.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
I'm
kidding. I'm kidding. It's a joke. It's a joke.
Yeah.
I know you had 2 or 3 that worked.
So yeah, like I actually deal with that, not all the time, but there's a handful of times I have to deal with the kiddie tax. So I'm actually glad.
Yeah,
that this
I'm
is
sure
being
some of your clients, Chad, probably have it way more than the people I deal with.
It's always a pain in the ass because it adds to their taxes and they don't understand it no matter how many times I explain it. So this is good, this Trump child accounts thing. Endowment tax. Okay, I think Clary's going to like this one. First of all, I think we are all probably pretty well endowed here, financially speaking. I'm speaking financially. But Clary, what if I told you that Harvard now that they have to pay extra tax on all this money that they're hoarding, even though they're asking for PPP loans, and they're like, oh, we need more money from the government to indoctrinate kids. Would that make you happy? Because it would make me kind of happy.
It is, they should confiscate the endowments. What does that say? 1.4%?
So it's 1.4% on the net investment income. However,
on income.
The new tiered tax rate structure would climb as high as 8% for colleges with the most endowment income per student, aka the Ivies that are putting
Oh
out.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
I like this. I think they should have a wealth tax on them. Since universities want to be so active politically, you want to have a say, you get to pay some taxes. And me personally, I just confiscate their entire endowment. I would be like, get the fuck out of here. Yep.
The battle isn't won until the United States Marine Corps literally rolls tanks over Harvard Yard. And
I am
then,
not joking. I would be like, yeah, you're giving us your endowment, you're shutting the fuck up, and you're educating kids, and you're gonna let people in on an
honestly,
equal
we
basis.
should. Honestly, I don't know if you talked about this, Cappy, but I'm assuming you'd probably agree with this. But I've long said that we just need to seize all the endowments, and that's what we use to pay off the student loan crisis.
That, and I'm even going so far as to hunt down all the professors, college admin, the past 25 years, and confiscate the property, liquidate it, because they're the ones who made off with the money. Like, nope, you sold my bill of goods. So I have another logical reason as to tax why corporations should at least pay for some of a student loan bailout, but that's a different discussion.
I don't know. I am a bit concerned about how it could affect the Carlson School of
That is such a dude. You got so many dumb sheep going to that school because people in that area don't know any better. It's like, that's the low. You just go to the Carlson School, and then you go get your 0.4% raise at Target or Cargill. And then somebody bangs your wife back at home, and then you're like, and that's there. I just described every Carlson School of Management MBA person.
That last thing I'll say about this is I get that Trump is against most of those Ivies, but he actually went to the University of Pennsylvania, Wharton. So it's interesting.
Yeah, like in 1923, when they might have done something. Yeah, no. These are just political organizations. You want to mouth off about
100%.
Politics? Well, then you get to pay a tax.
That's why he put that in there. So
Yeah.
Good. Couldn't have
And that
happened
passed.
to a
These
nicer
all
group of
passed,
people.
right?
as of today,
That's
5
great.
hours ago.
Fuck
this
you,
is all
Harvard.
law.
Fuck you.
Yeah. But side note, so the University of Pennsylvania apologized for allowing a trans athlete to set all the swimming records.
Oh yeah, that just came out. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I got some pork shoulder. Let's go through this. Let's
okay, we're getting there. Consumer protection. The funding cap for the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau would be cut almost in half to 6.5% of total operating expenses of the Federal Reserve System. Listen, Clary, it would slash resources for an institution established to combat abuses such as deceptive and predatory lending practices exposed by the 2008 financial crisis. I figured you might be in favor of this one, considering all the predatory lending that went on back then.
And by that logic, I would be against the cutting of this. I am for the cutting of it because Americans are equally uneducated in finances as they were back then. You should take all that money. The entire program should be ended, and then you should have financial education be required at a federal level for all the states, saying you're going to teach kids about lending and finances and how it works. That would be how it's. The consumer financial protection? No, no. You guys haven't done shit. Sorry.
Yeah, no tax implications, but still kind of interesting. Food aid, food assistance for low-income Americans would be cut by expanding existing work requirements for federal food stamps to cover beneficiaries up to 65 years old. The SNAP program.
Well, that's for the fat people.
Yes.
That's for the fat people. Okay, yeah. All right.
Yeah. So I think we're all kind of pro that one. And then the last two, border wall and detention centers. This one's for Red Hawk. The president's crackdown of undocumented migrants would get $45 billion for detention centers and nearly $47 billion for infrastructure at the southern border, including wall construction.
Hey man, they just opened Alligator Alcatraz yesterday. Barbed wire fences. They're putting alligators in the moats and everything. I'm for the
detention centers, but I don't think $47 billion for a wall. I think landmine fields are a lot easier and cheaper.
Well, yeah,
there you go.
I wish. Fun. But and then here's the remittances, which the fact that it's only 1% is just such a joke.
Yeah, well, I have a question. I don't really care. I guess send more money back. Why was Why wouldn't he want to increase it? Why did they lower it? I gotta imagine there was a reason they lowered it.
It's special interest groups. There was a lobby group who takes money from India that was really big on this one. A bunch of the lobby groups that represent other foreign interests. Because it was something absurd last year, or something like $260 billion was sent back to India from the United States.
I saw that on
year.
Twitter. Yeah,
okay. Yeah, it's crazy. These people literally just come here.
But if they're working for it and sending it back home, I mean, I can't, and they're here legally. I don't care.
I mean, I don't want them here if they're legally or illegally. They're stealing American jobs, and they're undercutting American workers.
You're not wrong about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, all those people who are in Springfield, Ohio, eating the ducks were here legally. So, I mean, I don't really care if they were here legally or illegally. They all need to go.
This one definitely felt like kind of a major concession that they kind of had to deal with in order to move this thing through the Senate. So that's really the last one.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's kind of like it's less taxes. I mean, admittedly on foreigners, but I don't know.
This is the first time there was zero remittance before this, so they've actually. Now it's like actually on the books now that we have a 1%. They originally went for 3.5%.
They did, yeah.
Quite frankly, it should be like 200%. But why we even allow this to begin with is ridiculous. But
because liberal white women needed to feel good.
Yeah.
Red Hawk, did you watch my video on why women vote against their men and their country?
No, I'd
you go watch that. You'll like it.
When did you do that one?
A couple days ago.
I'll check it out. That's everything, guys. I mean, I really like the tax aspects of this, especially for individuals. I really wanted those original Tax Cuts and Jobs Acts cuts extended. It's good for small businesses. I'm a little bit mixed on the SALT cap going up because it benefits a lot of people that I don't necessarily align with, but it's also going to help others. So.
I honestly, I'm just all for people of all stripes just sending less money to the federal government at this point.
I'm on board with that.
Yeah, it just,
I know this was all tax implications. It's more tax rules. They've further complicated the tax code.
Yes,
that's bad for the American people.
Yeah.
It's good for tax accountants. No, hey, I still could take the job. So I'm not worried about the future of tax accountants. But I heard that there's more spending and there's still deficits. So at the end of the day, all these tax savings, you're going to throw it back in inflation. You're going to give it back in inflation. So,
yeah. Super chat time. Well, first, any final thoughts about what we just went through? It's mostly good stuff, I guess.
Job secured.
Red Hawk, your job is going to be very secure going forward, so you're in the right field. And
sorry, go ahead. Well, update from your girlfriend. I'm going to murder Chad in his sleep if he doesn't get rid of that light. That's what she just said that right now, right here.
I believe it, but it's now a fixture of the stream. When I go back to Chicago, I got to bring it with me.
You're not going to make it back. You're going to die tonight. She's going to like, oh, what happened to Chad? Oh, she stabbed him in bed.
He died of electric shock.
He died in Dallas, and then there'll be a correction. It was Fort Worth.
We're actually mattress shopping. Okay, I'm going to read this, and then we'll get the super chats. Red Hawk, you might have known this, but Starscream 1540 says, H&R Block will reimburse enrolled agent exam costs. They will even reimburse a single failed exam per type of exam. So they will reimburse a total of 3 failed exams. Did you know that?
I didn't know they reimbursed you for that many fail attempts. No. Interesting. I mean, okay. I didn't plan on failing it because, if I'm going to go through the process of doing it, I'm going to do it. But I mean, we talked about this offline, Chad, if it was more efficient to do the EA for this off season or next off season. So, it's there's questions that need to be asked, but I might as well milk these people for all they have.
Well, Clary's pretty cocky after we talked about.
I passed. I didn't get a failed exam. I passed it.
Oh, did you really? You took it? Did you, Cappy?
I gave him the
Chad gave it to me. He gave me the hardest questions. Flying colors.
They were the easiest questions imaginable, and now Clary feels like he can pass the EA exams. To be fair, I've never taken them, so I don't know. Which one of you gentlemen wants to read the super chats?
I'll do it so we can get going because I'm hungry.
Okay.
Steve Camacho, $2, wondering how you handle quick questions.
You know what?
Oh God.
You want to field this one, Red Hawk?
Well, I don't really have to deal with this because I don't have my own practice. So I
Yes,
mean,
that's
you're
true. Yeah.
you're probably the one that has to deal with this more than I do. But I already know the memes. Like, just one quick question. It's like, no, I don't believe you.
There simply is no such thing as a quick question when it comes to taxes. Okay, because there's always something, even if it is a quick question that I can answer like this, there is always a follow-up question 100% of the time. So the worst thing imaginable, I check my business email every day, every morning. When I see that I have, 3 or 4 emails from current clients and the subject is quick tax question,
Yeah.
I mean, I get a sense that my cortisol goes up, my sense of like anger goes up because there are no quick questions.
I guess the equivalent for me is, oh, my return is really simple.
Yeah.
When anyone says that, like, you liar. I
I
don't
now have a
believe you.
default response that if your return is so simple, why don't you fucking do it yourself? That's what I tell everybody now. I am so sick of people saying, one of my relatives said that last week. Oh, it's really simple. Fuck you. I'll decide if it's simple or not. I've just had it with that statement. All right. I think we got a Greek guy here.
Jerry, yeah.
Omega
Omega Delta
Phi.
Psi?
Phi. I think that's Phi.
Phi. Look at me with my
Yeah.
Latin education. Today is my birthday. I'm spending my time listening to you all while working on my prep courses for the CPA exams. Good for Jerry.
Cheers,
There you
Jerry.
go.
Thank you for the super
There you go.
chat.
Good-
And
good
happy
luck, man.
birthday. Yeah. Back to Starscream here.
Starscream, $10. Red Hawk, how many EA exams have you completed? Are you going to get the small business qualified from H&R Block? Have you done any trust and estate taxes?
I worked on one trust and estate with one of my coworkers last year. I am going to try and get small business certified before the next season. The EA stuff, I haven't taken any yet because I've just been fucking off and enjoying myself all season so far. So I'm literally just back in like anything resembling work and certification mode right now. So watch this space for more answers on that one.
Yeah, man. Keep enjoying the summer. There's no rush. I think you're going to be able to knock these out pretty quickly. So,
Yeah. I mean, like, the fun times are coming to an end, So it's like, yeah, I've had my time off. Now it's time to go back to work. So.
I'm in the same boat. This is when the extenders start.
Starscream, $20. Chad, have you had any alternative fuel vehicle refueling property credit returns? A client installed EV charging station in home to claim an EU GPS coordinates, census area, date of start of construction, and permit codes. My God,
I did one of those. Yeah, I did one of those.
Oh my God, you did?
Yeah, I did one where somebody had the charging cables like installed in the house. I did have one of my coworkers help me with it, but I did do one last year. Yeah.
You got one on me because I've never done anything close to that. And if I did, I would probably just refer it out and be like, I don't want to deal with this. So
yeah, it's more or less what I did.
One Man Army 617, 20 generous dollars again at Chad Elkins CPA. Since you have a remote firm, how many paper returns do you process due to missing IRS IP pins? I have very old clients getting randomly assigned these pins and they are struggling to get them online.
0.
Yeah, they're always a nightmare to get those. Like the worst is when you put the return through and then it comes back with an error code saying you need like your PIN. Yeah, and honestly, in my experience, it's a 50-50 shot if you ever hear from the client ever again after that. So they just don't even want to go through the effort of doing that. There's like this weird thing where people think like if you call them for follow-up questions, they think that like the tax man is trying to get one over on them. And it's literally like, dude, no, I need you to give me this or I'm literally not completing your tax return. And they just, it's really weird.
It's just got to be really challenging dealing with some of the H&R Block clientele. Go back to the stream that we all last did if you want to hear some stories about that. To answer your question, I don't do paper returns anymore. I mean, there's a couple people that I'll go up to Chicago to meet with, and they can come to my apartment, and I can do their returns, and I'll print them out for them. But largely, I don't do paper returns. I deal with missing IP pins sometimes, but I mean, the mistake is that you have older clients. I've done streams about how you probably want to avoid having boomers as clients. So I've got young clients and I explain to them that they can get their IP PIN number online and they get it. So I don't have to deal with this too much.
I've had to set up a couple. I've had to set up a couple IRS accounts for old clients, just like on their phones, just so I could get the IP PIN like right then and there. For them. Yeah, it's pulling teeth with some people.
Homeschool has the correct approach to cars. Accurate. Do not purchase a new Nagmobile.
Nagmobile?
I do not want Gretchen Whitmer in my car.
Speaking as someone who used to live in that state with that god-awful woman ruling it, yes.
Just FYI, Nick and Steve says Red Hawk did all 3 exams in 2.5 months from 0 knowledge to pass. Yeah, man,
I did mine in 5 minutes with no studying whatsoever. You guys are rookie. Anyone can pass the EA exam.
Oh, Clary.
Dom AW, Tree Fitty. Does the overtime deduction count towards itemized?
I honestly, man, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to set this up. I think it's probably going to be a new form where they subtract whatever maximum I'm telling
you, it's got to be on people's W-2s. That's the only way this is ever going to work.
Yeah.
Don't take my dream away that my super chats are tax deductible, man. Don't take my dream away.
God, it's so fascinating because these are tips at the end of the day. So, the real Uncle Hector.
The real Uncle Hector. Hope he's doing well. $5. I've driven on the left side of the road before. That's because I was drunk on pancake beer, so not sure if that counts.
Pancake beer. It's kind of like what I'm drinking now.
Justified Misogany, $2. Would any of you reform low-income housing? How so?
Get rid of it.
I was going to say, I think I know what Red Hawk would do. Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah. Like that's what turns you into a worker. Starvation and homelessness. Like you will work hard. I would make it a hell of a lot easier for us to build housing. That's a whole other different issue. But no, you don't get free housing. You don't get low income housing. You want low income housing? Go become a carpenter and build some housing. I
mean, we had this thing addressed to low income housing for the previous 8,500 years of humanity, and it was called indentured servitude or slavery. So I mean, that's how we used to take care of the lowest people in society, give them a job, and the people who have them work for them, put them up on a house and stuff. It's what we have now is just perpetual cycles of poverty, literally for forever. And I don't think that's made anything better for anyone, including most of our inner cities. They're just complete war zones now.
How are people? Here's my question. How have people been doing these past 60 years we've had HUD? How would those people do? Oh, they do shitty. Oh, I wonder if we just stop paying for things, they turn around, hit bottom like a drug addict. Because if you have free food, clothing, and shelter, you spit out kids. And that's why everyone on SNAP is fat. So just me, a little pain would go a long way.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. I'm really happy that you both could join. And anything you two want to talk about for your channels or materials or anything?
Do you know how you can avoid being poor and fat, living on assistance, and having a completely wasted, miserable life? Do you know how you could afford a brand new, entry-level Tesla? Or perhaps food or dining, like a steak dinner like Red Hawk had, but in America. Do you know how you can afford that?
Are we talking about a potential career?
You need the right career, right? Because that's where you get the money, unless you're a Democrat and you get it from your dad or your mom or the government. But if you choose the right career, you can have a really good life. I think one of the best careers is accounting. Now, do you know why I think accounting is one of the best careers, Chad, even though I'm not one?
Tell me why.
Because not only is it very easy for you to become self-employed because everyone needs their taxes done, right? And a lot of people need bookkeepers and all that. But with this new thing called the internet, you can work remotely. So you can work remote and self-employed, not answering to any baby boomers. Now, Red Hawk had the benefit of having you and me as personal friends. But Chad, do we have all the time in the world to help and hold their hands on how to become remote and self-employed for everyone who wishes to aspire working on a beach? Do we have time for that?
I don't know about you, but I don't.
I don't either. But what if we combined were to merge like Voltron and create a course?
Let us our powers combined.
With our power, Wonder Twins Power Activate, we came up with a course that would show everyone the easiest, most quick, efficient, affordable route to become a self-employed, remotely employed accountant. Now, Chad, if we were to put together that course, what would you title that course?
The world's greatest accounting career!
The candidate in the other room.
Candidate, I know she gotta be rolling her eyes. He did the plug. Here, Clary set him up. Here comes the plug.
She goes, "Are you okay?" She's like,
yeah. So, you know what, Chad? That's funny. I would name it that too, and then I would put it on the internet through Teachable, and then I give you an affiliate link, and then you would put it down below, And then everybody for the affordable, well, I'd say about $150, right? Save them. What'd you spend on your MBA, Chad?
$100,000, not including the lost wages, but yeah.
Right, and $2,004. So for $150, you could avoid all these expensive mistakes and learn how to become accountant very quickly, like our friend Red Hawk here.
Yes, you could.
Yes. And you have that link down below.
Years. It's been 2 years, man. It's gone by very, very quickly. And the light is at the end of the tunnel. I can see it. 1 year from now, we'll be setting up our own LLC and all that fun stuff.
Sure.
So,
all right. And so, Chad, you have that link below to that course that we did, in fact, set up.
I do have it linked below. It is the affiliate link. So if you click on that, Clary has to give me a little bit.
Chad gets some of my money, but that link is below.
It's more than $350, John Watts. So yeah. All right, Red Hawk. Anything you want to mention?
Just check out the Old Glory Club. We're rolling out our new content next week. We're upping our ante from 1 stream a week to 3 streams a week. So we'll be streaming on Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, in addition to the 3 Substack articles every week. So check us out over at the OGC. Got a lot of fun stuff coming down the pipeline pretty soon. And tomorrow on our Substack for our paid subscribers is our OGC review of the great 2004 satirical comedy film Team America World Police in honor of 4th of July. So people can go over there and watch that if they like.
Last quick question for the two of you. What are y'all doing tomorrow? Anything special for the 4th or?
Hanging out.
I'm going to have some friends over for poker.
Okay, I was very upset by your Great One video earlier today, Clary.
Dude, I'm upset too. The Great One, he's bigger and better than us now. He's very snooty. He won't show up at 4th of July.
What happened to the Great One?
Nothing. It's a joke. People in the audience, actually, there are comments like, "Oh, I hate it when people do that." I'm like, he didn't. He's just busy. This is a joke. We're still friends. He just is obviously more gainfully employed than when I first met him, which was a lot more fun because we'd go hiking all the time. But
we should do one of those.
He's the number 2 guy.
We should do one of those like online poker room hangout streams, kind of like the Masculine Geek guys do. One night, get all the guys together for cards. That'd be fun.
Maybe I could. Maybe there's a way, like there's an app we could do online poker.
There is. I play it with my friends.
Is there?
Yeah.
Oh, we should do that. Yeah, put a little money in. Yeah, that'd be kind of fun.
We have to Venmo people afterwards, or like PayPal or something. But yeah, I'd play. Yeah.
I'm gonna go eat. I'm done talking to you guys.
When should we hang out, gentlemen?
Soon.
Soon.